welcome to another episode of the Laid Back Life podcast. We're talking about how to love entrepreneurship and improve daily. Joining me today, somebody who has done such a good job having a life and sharing that life and branding that life in a way that allows her to be herself. I don't know. I assume all of you know Anna because she is like the most followed wonderful lawyer on all of social media. But for those of you who don't, she helps celebrities, athletes, influencers, startup entrepreneurs, and corporations secure and monetize their brands and ideas in the US and abroad. The first and only law firm that offers flat fee, 100% guaranteed patent, trademark, and copyright services with a 100% success rate. And of course, because of all that, she often also gets to speak on important topics like legal issues around security, AI, social media, because she's got extensive experience with social media intellectual property infringement issues, and her insider connections with premier media agencies allow her direct access to key social media platforms such as Meta, TikTok, Twitter, X, etc., which are a huge component of all of the branding protection strategy that she does for her clients. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for the great intro. That was so great, actually.
Well, I mean, you guys provided part of it, and then I know you enough to like make it real.
Love it.
So I gotta give you a huge shout out because like I think about this conversation that we had at I think it was CleoCon all the time, and you were basically like, sometimes I have to make a post look like it wasn't done professionally so that it's more like engaging with people. And literally once a week I think about this conversation because I think like everybody gets stuck on this whole concept of like this is social media me, and you're like, no, like this is me, and people want that, right?
Yeah, I think there's just, people can really hold themselves back too if they think everything has to be perfect. And that's why I like to make sure people know that it actually doesn't work that well if you're a robot. Like, especially now when there's going to be maybe, you can still tell the AI generated people and bots right now and little videos people can make using not real humans. But in the future, when everything is so perfect and that technology gets better, people are going to really want things that are more authentic. And I think a lot of lawyers in particular, or professionals in general, even entrepreneurs maybe who want to consider themselves more high end, they get scared of doing that because they think that their corporate clients are going to look down on them. And I would say maybe when I started, I wondered if that was going to happen. But first of all, I've gained a lot of corporate clients since being on social media. And also, it's not about a name or a corporation or about a certain price tag of service you want to offer. It's about building connections and building relationships. At the end of the day, I feel right now like I'm a millennial, zillennial, whatever they call like in between millennial and Gen Z. I have, I'm at the age too where a lot of my in-house counsel that I'm working within corporations, big corporations, for Fortune 100 companies, they are also in my same age group cohort. And so they are going to still relate to me like a person. We're not always dealing with, 80-year-old white men anymore who maybe, yeah, they would look down on you for sure. But that's not everybody in every corporation or in the legal world anymore.
So I'm cracking up how you phrase. So I have this running dream,
I'm
right?
80-year-old white men who are watching this.
Whatever, it's fine. Listen, we anyway. No, so I have this dream where like AI gets to the point where we all have great customer service, and like when you call some crazy 27 level phone tree and you get right to a human or right to a voice, you're gonna be like, oh, this is AI because somebody picked up immediately. So it's really funny that you're like, hey, you have these AI videos, and like the better they get, the more us potentially like making mistakes or showing humanity is what helps us stand out.
Absolutely. One of my first viral videos ever went viral because I couldn't say the word Zelly. I actually don't say it right still. I think it's Zell. I think that's the right way to say it. But I like for just never knew because who even says that out loud anyway? So anyway, guys, I'm like going on and on about, I don't even know what I said, if businesses should or shouldn't use it, but I kept saying the word wrong. And like that mistake is the reason that video got like 10 million views. And, so making mistakes or now, you can strategically do that, put in typos, make errors and things. And now I know because I've been on social media so long, but a mistake can be like your greatest gift, in a way too.
And so It's interesting. So basically, like the AI is not going to make. I get so you're like you can program the AI to make mistakes, otherwise it's not. And so like the natural mistake is the easiest way to show humanity.
Well, I think, humans are just human. AI is never going to be human. So at the end of the day, sure, you could program AI to make mistakes. And just like I can be more strategic and have that specific knowledge of, okay, I'm going to say this thing a little bit wrong, or I'm going to say this thing to trigger people. I have that knowledge because been on social media for years and years. I've made hundreds of videos. I know for my audience what works. But that requires a lot of deep understanding of psychology, which I will say AI does well. But for it to generate new novel, the new and novel ability to invoke emotions, I still think is a human thing. Like I can do it. I can do it. I can tell you what to do for your videos for your audience too. But you do it then. You as the human do it. Programming AI to do it, it's never going to feel as perfectly authentically, human as a real human can, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I where did this start though? Like this wasn't you day one on social media knowing this stuff, was it?
No, definitely not. Definitely everything at the very, very beginning, of course, everything kind of totally happened by accident. And I was posting a lot of stuff that I never thought anyone was going to see, obviously. I mean, I was posting on TikTok, like none of my friends were on there. I was like posting 10 videos a day. Every thought that was in my head got posted, which I don't recommend necessarily to anyone either. But, it was definitely very authentic. And I didn't think any of my friends would see or clients and things. And then you kind of just start doing it. And social media is just the first time that an average person like you or me who doesn't have $10 million to spend on, Zuckerberg to give him, we have access right now to instantaneous feedback of human psychology. And so if you want to do something, you want to test something, you want to know something, you can do it for free in 10 seconds. 30 seconds, however long your video is. So it's just like experimentation. I've made so much content. I've taken so much content down. I've remade videos, changing things up. I've experimented with it. I've done kind of like the background work for my audience.
And so like with this show, I'm always trying to get like the life angle first. I think there's so many business podcasts. So like what are you living a better life to have better content? Are you taking the life and weaving it into the content? Like what's the how do you make it more natural and unique based upon not being a boring lawyer stuck behind a desk for 60 hours a week?
So I would say my content objectively is quite boring because I'm not really showcasing a ton of personal information. I actually
Okay.
just feel weird about it. I think as a woman on the internet, you just have to be safe. I, totally get the influencer angle. And there's been ebbs and flows in my life where, I do share a little bit more and don't share more. But in general, I really keep it quite dry in the sense of what I'm saying, the opinions of things I have, anything I'm showcasing is really focused quite mostly on work. I'm not really showcasing, minus the occasional throwaway post here and there. I'm not really showcasing a ton of my personal life or anything about me personally that like my friends would know. But it's about your personality. So I think my personality, just the way I talk, the way I think, and the way I communicate has been shaped largely by social media, but that is the same person. I talk to you or I talk to my TikTok videos or, any other content you would see online, the same way I talk to, my sister and my friends and my, closest people in my life. I
Okay, so I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead.
So, okay, so then I want to talk to that. Like, obviously, I mean, you started a while back talking about like perfection from lawyers. I don't think we're going to solve lawyers getting over the perfection issue in an hour. But in terms of like, how do you help people figure out what their speaking style, delivery style is? So, like, you can social media the same way you talk to your sister. Like, how do we help more people figure out how to do that?
So I think there is just a I think the biggest problem actually with lawyers in particular is that they don't know how to talk. They don't understand that people don't really care. Like I can sit here and tell you everything ever about, patents and trademarks and blah blah blah. You really don't care. Beyond whatever you're trying to get out of me as a lawyer, right? Like if you that day you're desperate to get a patent or trademark filed or something, sure, you're gonna care a little more what I'm saying, but in general I could sit here and ramble on. I could write you a 100-page legal memo about all these nuances about trademark law. Sure, I can do that. You don't care, and honestly I just have the personality trait that I really don't care either. But how do I make it more interesting to people? How do I make them understand that patents are about innovation, IP is all about innovation and pushing things forward? You have to be able to say things in a way that people care and how it would relate to them or society. And I think less than 1% of lawyers have that skill. And I didn't necessarily have that skill until I got on social media and I realized specifically like TikTok, very unforgiving platform. You need to make people care about you in like half a second or they're scrolling away. So if you don't figure out how to do that, you're done. And how do you do that? Well, you make it important and dramatic. And when you do that, people care a lot more. And so I don't know, I just have like kind of a dramatic personality or whatever. Like, I don't know that you can fake that, but whatever it is, whatever that personality is that you have, that your friends love, your clients love, your coworkers love, whether you're super funny and you're the class clown, or whether you're, really cheerful and bubbly, or whether you're really dramatic. Like my first videos on TikTok were like literally me crying about China and like China's IP theft. I think I was like not drunk, but like definitely tipsy. So like not that I love that like those are out there still somewhere on the internet, but I'm just saying you have to be authentic to who you are. And a lot of people are fearful of that because maybe they feel that they'll be judged for that. And you kind of just have to at this point, like to a certain degree, I feel that people who are scared to be authentic just don't deserve to be successful, like at the end of the day. So,
I, no, I
if
like that you use the word authentic there, though.
but it is because and there's different paths people can take. If you are on a very corporate serious path, maybe you're on the big law path and your big law firm does not allow for any deviation, but that's the path you want, then obviously you don't really have a need to go out on social media and be authentic. You can post on LinkedIn and be very dry, but that's not necessarily maybe the path that like someone who is wants to get out or wants to have a life or have a personality or be able to have a platform, even if they are in big law or boutique law, whatever it is. You have to figure out what's going to work for you and what's the worst that's going to happen, what's the absolute worst that's going to happen, because I have the same clients that big law firms have, and those clients don't care like what I'm doing, or they just feel like it relates to me more. I'm friends with their, and I'm friends with those legal teams and things. So no one really cares. People don't really care that much. You should live life how you want to live it. But if you want to live your life a certain way and you're scared to show people that authentic side of you, then like to a certain degree, you really just don't deserve to be successful.
Well, it always not cracks me up is so the wrong word. That's very Schadenfreude. But like you have all these people that like get torn down when people find out who they truly are. And I feel like if they were jerks from day one, they would have been just as successful, but with like a different person who was okay with them being a jerk.
Definitely say things that like cancelable or whatever. Like, first of all, things move really fast. You can say crazy stuff and like move on. Or there's always going to be people who, obviously in my field of law, China's IP theft is a massive issue. Me making videos about it and getting called racist is just kind of the default setting people are going to say, right? So you also have to just take things with a grain of salt at the end of the day. If you go out there and you're authentic and you say what you want to say, I mean, my name is on my account, my actual name. If I'm saying something, I'm gonna have to stand behind it. I don't have a choice. And if you're out there saying stuff that maybe you don't believe, maybe you're not authentic in your own feelings and views too.
Makes sense. I mean, so like what's the biggest blowback that you've gotten from any of this?
I think the biggest blowback I've really gotten has been from other IP attorneys in my field.
in
So
terms of?
I would say it's been from not from big law or like small law firms, but from mid boutique type of attorneys who basically just said that it was, I think they have a unique position where and I would consider myself in that category too. Like I work with several boutique IP firms as of counsel. I have my own firm, like my own book of business, my own clients. So I'm in that middle tier. I'm not really that small, but I'm not in big law where everything is very corporate and overly formal, and I'm like in a small IP department in a big law firm. So I'm very much in that IP world where everybody knows everything about each other and we're all kind of in competition for the same clients. The biggest blowback I've gotten is from them because at the end of the day, no matter what, you can be, known, not known. People can like you, not like you, but like at least for me, no one's forgetting me. Like that's the thing. And that is in and of itself pretty valuable in the business world. I always say to my friends that, it's easier to answer 50 calls on the phone than make 500 calls. And that's
Yeah.
the comparison, right?
In terms of you putting yourself out there to get
Like,
that much response?
out there. And even if like people like at the end of the day, you're one person on social media. Everybody's following 1,000 people. Everybody has 1,000 voices in their head. So if all you do is go out there and say something a little crazy or stay authentic, but people know who you are and they know you're an IP attorney or whatever kind of lawyer you are, whenever that situation comes up that they need you, you are going to be who they call. Like visibility is really valuable in today's world. And being able to do it kind of for free, not really working that hard for it, is a really incredible gift that I'm grateful for every day. And my life would be so different, if I didn't have that, the platform I have. Who know, I can't even imagine, what it would be like or how hard I would have to be working. So it allows you to capture a certain association in people's mind of what you are and who you do. No one, even if you say something they 100% disagree with, is going to care that much because there's so much noise out there on social media. If you say something super politically left or right, there's 100 people saying the same thing as you and 1,000 people saying the opposite. So no one really cares unless you're so absolutely brilliantly unique that you are saying things no one else has ever said before, which I guarantee you none of us are. So
Thanks.
you need to
Thanks, Hannah.
stop being so pressed, just be whoever you want, say whatever you want, and the people who are going to love you and be your fans will do that. But if nothing else, people aren't going to forget you. And that is incredibly, from a financial point of view, incredibly valuable.
So I love it always cracks me up lawyer videos, right? Because to the extent of like any of our lawyer colleagues who get a ton of engagement like you do, you'll go through and then there's always like the, yeah, you go girl, there's the I hate you. And then there's like that one or two lawyers that are like, you're an idiot. If you read the dissent in this one archaic case from 1827, what you're saying is not the exception that we were including. Like, it's so funny to get like the really specific legal response when you're like, come on, guys, I'm talking to an intelligent 13-year-old, not like somebody with an LLM in this.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I mean, I'll make like a 10-second video like, hey, this is the difference between a copyright and a trademark, and I'll whatever say like 2 sentences. And then there'll be actual IP lawyers commenting about why there's nuances and exceptions and all. And I'm like, you got this is this is not what we're doing here. Like the
Hey, it's feeding the algorithm though.
people who've watched or who are watching these videos who literally probably haven't even heard the words trademark and copyright before. That's who this is for. So people also just they're really pressed. They don't get what's going on in social media.
Well, and it cracks me up like the amount of I'm gonna call it niche information. I don't know real that has like become mainstream. Like there's the entrepreneurial, the hustle and grind culture, like all these,
Oh my God.
cost of acquisition. Like these things got popular because of like a handful of random kind of funny videos that then like caught on among normal people.
I know. And I only really do IP work. I do patents, trademarks, copyrights. That's the kind of lawyer I am. But I am, for whatever reason, somehow now associated in the entrepreneurship business world as well. I think because I say things about like business sometimes and things. So I'm in this cohort of, these influencers who are always talking about like entrepreneurship and success and like the grind and LLCs and taxes and all these kind of real estate. It's fascinating to me. I don't do that, legal work on a day to day, but the whole culture and how mainstream all this information and sharing of entrepreneurship information has become is absolutely fascinating to me. And I know you do, PI and things. And so that has a technically wider audience, right? Anybody who has a driver's license would potentially need a PI lawyer,
Not even. You could be the passenger in the car.
passenger in the car even. So literally, if you're a human, if you have if have a vertebrae, I guess you could possibly need a PI lawyer.
And
So
if you don't, I want to talk to you because
if you don't, even more.
we're gonna sue somebody for that too. No.
So it's funny because I didn't think that there would be such a wide distribution or wide variety of people and audience. I was really speaking maybe to one kind of person when I'm making my content. And I find it really fascinating who ends up, watching your content, who consumes it. And I think it's just endlessly fascinating.
But knowing that, do you still advise people to talk to that specific, I just call it an ideal client avatar, or do you advise people to talk to a collection of people and see who speaks up, or
You're gonna hate this.
am
I
I?
don't believe in like the client avatar. I literally
Okay.
in my TikTok videos the same as I would talk to my dad, the same as I would talk to like my sister, the same as I would talk to anyone in my family, like cousin, spouse, best friend, anybody. I'm going to talk to them the exact same way, like exact same. And I think I don't have like an avatar in terms of, I'm targeting this kind of person, blah, blah, blah. I'm targeting, I guess I would say somebody like me, somebody who's going to like me, like somebody who's in my life. In terms of, having, and I think that is one strategy. You can definitely narrow it down. I think when it comes up with content ideas, you should think more about that um ideal prospective client avatar maybe, but when it comes to how you're communicating and your voice and your tone inflections and the words you're saying, talk to them like you talk to everybody else in your life. Like this is not, you're not a, Harvard law professor. You're not. So like kind of get over that. You're on TikTok, you're on social media, you're on LinkedIn, even if it's LinkedIn. Like you're on a platform where like there's tarot card readers. Like we're on a floating rock. Nothing is that serious, So people can
But oh,
talk
sorry.
if they want to.
But I'm curious, is that a benefit of your of your branding campaign, of your social media? Like if you were running ads, would you, I mean, I think you would target the ads more specifically than like trying to get a broad
Yes,
cross-section of community?
I've never run ads, and I know that when you go on, you have to target like different age groups or like locations, or I think you can target like based on what people have searched and things like that as well. So you can get really specific with ads. So I'm not talking about that, and I'm not talking about necessarily content. I think it's great to niche down content and be like, hey, here's 10 types of trademarks that estheticians could use or that coaches could use. I think that type of stuff is great to niche down on. I'm saying I don't have that ideal client avatar in terms of how I talk, in terms of the words I'm using, in terms of, keep it jargon free. I'm not talking to law students. I'm talking to regular people always.
Would you give that advice to anybody beginning their social media journey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you're going to make content for different types of people. So you're going to make content for one type of ideal client you have, which might be, businesses, startups, and then one type might be influencers, and then one type might be, SMEs, small to medium, 1 million revenue. You may be making different types of content, which means that your actual like the script of the words that you're saying, the information you are giving is going to be different, right? However, your personality should be your authentic personality.
That's the hope, right?
Yeah, but I think like that people get in this mindset that, oh, I'm trying to get these Fortune 100 companies to come to me and, I have to be very formal and I can't really showcase, I can't make a joke, I can't do that. I mean, that's not really how it works. If you're getting, a corporate client to come into you and hire you for your services, who are you going to touch point with? You're going to touch point with their paralegals, with their in-house counsel. or someone on their exec team, or it could be one of their nieces, their kids that's sending their video to their dad. I can't tell you how many times that has happened. It doesn't,
But
you don't
oops,
have to,
sorry.
you don't have to pretend you're going there and giving a lecture. This is not, you're not being called there for a conference. You're just trying to connect with somebody, anybody there who might find you relatable, the way that you communicate and talk.
I'm curious about that though from like a correlation causation standpoint. Maybe I'm off here in this reference. But like it is it a situation like you are being you and that is attracting any clients or that is attracting the right kind of client? Like is it
Okay,
let me frame it this way.
I get what you're saying. Me being
Okay.
is just me being able to produce content in a way that I can produce it to a way that I'm comfortable with. What is attracting certain types of clients to me is the content, it's the actual script and information in the content itself. So if I'm making a video about how to set up an LLC and you need an EIN, an operating agreement, blah, 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 that is not content that in-house counsel at a Fortune 100 company cares about, right? They may care more about, oh, check out this new case about AI and what it says about patent ownership. They may care more about that. However, my voice, my face, the way I talk, I'm using like the same words and verbiage. I'm not going to add more jargon to that AI case review versus the, hey, here are the three components of how to start a business. That content is geared towards somebody who's thinking about starting a business, content about how AI authorship and patents, copyrights, all that, that is not geared towards a startup. Maybe it is, but I'm not really gearing it towards that. I'm gearing it more towards people who want somebody familiar with AI and has AI expertise in the IP field. So the content itself is different.
But it sounds like that still goes back though to like you being you loudly, more often, more okay.
So I think there's two types of lawyers. There's the kind of lawyer that does one thing for everyone, or there's the kind of lawyer that does everything for one type of person. So like family lawyers, they do everything from families. They do divorce, custody, everything for that type of clientele. I do only one thing, right? Like I only do IP, like patents, trademarks, copyrights, but I do them for everybody. So it also, that is like kind of how you're going to decide what content you make. And while I do IP for everyone, me talking about the basics of a trademark versus the nuances of some new, rule or policy about patents and trademarks at the USPTO, the content itself is going to be more interesting to different types of people within my range.
But how are you I guess the core question is how are you finding that information or how are you figuring out what you think resonates?
Because I know, because those are my clients and I talk to them. So
Okay.
when I talk to startups, I'm not having the same conversations that I'm having with my corporate clients who've been my clients for 10 years and who need 500 trademarks filed, in the next 24 hours in 500 countries. They have different problems than my startup client who's deciding, how to finalize their patent claims or their trademark. My clients that I work with have different needs, different questions, and I know that because I've worked with them. I've been an attorney. You can't fake that. You actually have to have the knowledge.
But are you having those conversations through social media or those are client not I'm not saying violating confidentiality, but
No, no, no. In general, no, I would have no idea. I'm not taking that feedback from social media because it's not.
okay.
I've worked with people, various types of clients for many years. That's how I know. Just like when you work with a car accident case, you're asking different questions to them versus when you're doing maybe a complex commercial litigation case, right? That has the questions you ask, the conversations you have are completely different because they're two different types of clients. You only know that because you worked as an attorney talking to those type of clients. That's not information that you can get from social media. I've worked as an attorney for almost a decade, so I've through working with all these different types of clients, I know their questions. I already know everything they're going to ask. So that allows me to have enough expertise to pull from to create content I don't think you can fake it that easy on social media and last that long. I don't think you can last as long as I have. You can't last years. Might be able to make a few videos, but it requires a certain level of grind of producing content continuously.
Well, but it's interesting, like you're talking about though continuing the conversation with clients who might hire you through the social media, but to stay on top of the questions to then put that back into the system as content. Like it's a circle. It's the flywheel that Jim Collins talks
I know,
about.
but I would say just like most law firm websites probably have an FAQs page. So I would consider a lot of the content that I make to be FAQs. Like I know if I have a friend like from high school who's interested in starting a business, I know what questions they're going to have for me. They're going to want to know, do I need legal Zoom for an LLC? They're going to have the same stuff. They're going to have the same questions. And I've worked enough now with my corporate clients that I know they're going to be asking me about like global portfolio management. They have different needs, but I know that because I've been that lawyer for both sides of things multiple times, for a decade. So that is how you'll know what's going on. But in terms of just going out there and saying, how can I create continuous content? I don't think you can unless you actually have a lot of expertise. And when you do, you have enough to pull from. Sometimes I'll get really good questions on social media too, that like maybe I haven't gotten in that
Gotcha.
way. And that can create good content too. I would say that's very far and frequently in between.
How do you know how often to repeat the same, I'm going to say information, not even necessarily the same content, but like you're going through these core questions.
Would say the same information on a literal weekly rotation. If you're gonna make like 2 videos a day, you could repeat that every week. Just say it and make a new video. Say the same words in a different outfit. I've done that. I actually have a few scripts of videos that I know like go super viral and make me a lot of like kind of, I don't want to say easy money, but kind of. And I get a huge influx of leads. I don't post those videos a lot because it's not amazing and stress-free to deal with having thousands of leads in 1 week. But the more you do, you're gonna figure that out. I
And,
have 2, 3 scripts that I have that like I know will guarantee whatever I need to happen.
and you're talking, you could repeat these same pieces of information
Yeah.
weekly.
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Once you post enough content, you will realize there's certain trigger words and then there's just certain lines and phrases that like will get a lot of like virality. So it's a combination though. You have to get enough views to the right audience and then it has to be triggering enough that people take action. And you're only going to really do this. This is not really probably information that your audience needs right now because probably most of them haven't even posted a video before. But if anybody in your audience has posted 100 videos, 200 videos minimum, and they feel that they don't have a viral script or one script at least that like does a lot for them, tell them to email me and I'll
Okay.
actually, because I don't believe it. If you
I
post
mean,
that and you start to repeat and you find one that has success and you repeat it, I would say it's probably rare that that doesn't find you success again.
all right. I mean, so I'll get on the hot seat for that. I have no idea what of my content is that script in my back pocket.
Are you
What?
tra are you tracking it though? Do you track like your views and then your leads from that video or that time
Oh
period?
yeah, we have all that stuff tracked.
So go to like your top ones.
Okay, but I can't the top impressions I can't track with leads, and then like from a Lawmatics
Your
standpoint,
top impressions. Just go to your top impressions, your top like 20 videos and recreate them over the next month.
okay, just that's it.
That
Different Hawaiian shirt.
different Hawaiian shirt.
Okay.
I mean, I have like severely different looks, like different whole hair colors and like vibes, but different Hawaiian shirt matters too. Just literally make one video where you're sitting at your desk, make one where you're walking, like make a video when you're on a walk. Like, do not. I also have a rule that I think you should not put any effort into making videos because your video in general is going to have a shelf life of maximum 72 hours. So I will never do a retake. I don't care what I look like. And you just got to make it and post it and not think. Because people, you could be decked to the nines. I could have full flawless makeup, perfect hair, and I'll still get like hate comments about my looks. That is not you can't care about that because it's not really your problem. Like that's not somebody who's ever going to hire you as a client. So why do you care? They're not affecting your bank account in any way, shape, or form. So focus on what would, and what would is just making more content and being able to connect with more and more people. And maybe some people are going to like how you talk when you're on a walk. Maybe some people are going to like it when you're at a desk. Like you never know.
But how do you like, I believe you, but I talked to so many lawyers that are just terrified of that reply. Like how do we help more people just get over themselves?
I mean, you have to think like, why do you care? Does it affect your bank account? I mean, I don't care. I'm like a very self-centered person. So unless something really is affecting me, like I have stuff to do. I would rather spend an hour going to Solid Core, going shopping than reading comments. But that's me. If that's not your life, then look at your life and fix it, is my advice to you.
Well, I guess, or maybe this isn't the right strategy for people who are that
No,
self.
I think people who are self-conscious are not happy with what's going on in their life. You need to do more things that make you happy.
I definitely agree with that.
So if you think that you posting a video, first of all, if it's like in your first 50 videos, you're probably going to get 0 views. So use that to your advantage and get like the editing and how to talk and the practice out of the way because your first probably 300 videos are going to be shitty, like they just are. Sorry if you have to edit that. I don't know if I'm all.
That's okay. And I love you can watch Gary Vee's first wine library. I don't know if you've ever seen this video. Okay, it's on like you can find his first and it's amazing. He's like this small in the back corner with like terrible lighting, tripping over his words, and now you watch, I mean, every freaking Gary Vee thing is like he looks so calm and collected because he filmed hundreds of these terrible videos to get better and better and better.
That's just what it is though. And then even at the end of the day, even after your video is good, even after you know how to talk, things are good, you are still going to get comments. Okay. I could post a picture of the moon and get hate comments. I'm saying this because I have. I've literally posted a picture of the moon and people left hate comments. So
Like at you?
at the moon,
Oh, like the moon landing's fake. Like not like
a picture of
no.
the actual moon in the sky. And they had
Yeah.
something to say. People are always going to have something to say. Do you really care? Like, if you really care, then you need a hobby. Like, people are always going to have something. I'm not kidding. I literally posted a picture of the moon, like above the ocean, and people had things to say. And it's just like, first of all, what is wrong with them? Because you couldn't pay me
Well, that yeah.
comment on on someone else's content. Though I only leave hate comments on LinkedIn because I think it's funny. But to just leave random hate comments on random people's posts or comment on their stuff is a huge waste of time. And anybody who makes content and then reads those hate comments, think about it. I got a hate comment posting a picture of the moon above the ocean. Okay. Literally, people were like, that is a fake moon. Like, literally, like hate
Oh,
comments.
that was the
So just it doesn't matter. They are never going to pay you. There's nothing you can do. You can't change yourself. You can't talk in a more formal way, in a less formal way. You can do nothing to please them to the point where they're going to hire you and pay you money. Therefore, in your brain, they should be completely invisible in your world.
Well, I
Like,
always think it's funny. We talk about like the red flag clients. Like, I'm never taking another client that says, oh, I Googled this, it'll be an easy case. Like, take the same thing to social media, right? Like, I'm never going to worry about the idiot who tells me my moon picture is fake.
as a girl, you get a lot of commentary on your looks and on your voice and oh, how old are you? Oh, like she's an OnlyFans lawyer. She's like, what is she doing? Is she even like you're gonna get so much as a female, you get so much blowback just for existing. And that was something hard to get over. But then at the end of the day, my dad actually said to me, if you think that everybody's gonna like you, you're actually delusional. And I was like, why? And he was like, because you don't like everybody you meet in real life. So why would you be so entitled and think that everybody's going to like you? And I was like, okay, that's fair. And he was like, the people who don't like you, you just don't hang out with them, right? He's like, you don't hang out with them, do you? And I was like, no, you're right. Like, they're like irrelevant. You're totally right. Like, that's what it is. And
Well,
so it is what it is. It comes with the territory. But I would say for the people who are so scared that they think they're going to get hate comments and that's why they don't post or they're going to get any sort of blowback, I can guarantee you no one is going to actually care about you at all until like you have some level of success. Everybody in
Let
their
that be liberating.
everybody's on social media now. It's not like a new or novel thing. And to get any visibility is enough of a challenge. You don't need to worry about like the blowback yet. You'll get blowback when you have viral videos. And if you're having viral videos, you have at that point other problems like dealing with all your leads and all the money that's coming in. So, you're fine.
I just it it sucks that you go through that, but I have to tell you, it's awesome when you're like, and I wear more clothing than anybody else on the internet. Like I always love when you have like the lines like that. I'm just like, yeah, and I can't even imagine the stuff that you still get.
There's nothing you can do as a woman, and like you kind of just have to go get over it. Like I dress a lot differently online than I do in real life for a good reason, because there's definitely a lot of creeps out there, and there's a lot of stuff going online that like I said, I'm not trying to keep this really personal. Like I'm on social media for a reason. I'm not here to be friends with people or be like an influencer. Like I'm here because I like to talk about certain topics that my family and friends don't want to hear about all the time.
Well, and it makes you a bunch of money.
And it's free marketing. So, I'm here for a reason. Like if it wasn't giving me any benefit, I can't imagine that it wouldn't give anybody benefit, but I may still do it. Like I do enjoy it. I enjoy like the content I make and like interacting with people and meeting like new people and the opportunities and things that I've gotten from it. I think it is, some sort of creative outlet. I will say I have scaled back a ton on the content I make due to mostly just the fact that when I make a lot of content, I get like I have the opposite problem. Like I can't make too much content anymore because I get so many leads and so much work that I cannot do it. Like I love having that problem because it kind of feels like a security blanket in a way. Not every other, but 99% of lawyers don't have that problem. It's the opposite.
Right?
But really nice to be able to pick your cases, pick your work, and kind of have any amount of income disposable that you want. And I feel so incredibly grateful and blessed to be in this position. Like I know like no one who's in this position, but like the only way you can ever even think of being close to that is if you just do it. So you have to think like what's the best case scenario, what's the worst case scenario, and then what's going to happen to you is probably somewhere in between.
Well, and also I think the more time goes on, the more like all we have is our stage or our audience. Like that's it. It's all a fight for attention, and you have an audience, you have a following.
Right. So it gives you like a sense of security that like, what if you want to change fields or what if you want to not be a lawyer and do something else? Like, I like that I have that security in a way. And I like that I can post content about IP or business and get a lot of work, like, no matter what. Like, it makes you feel really secure, like control over your, career. And I think that if you're not getting clients on social media, which is super free, easy, fast, basically zero work. I mean, the way I do it, there's people who do it in a much more expensive and cinematic way. Like they literally have like whole camera crews and they invest a lot into it. That's definitely one path that, you can find success in. I didn't choose to take that path. I'm a huge proponent of reducing friction and when it comes to making content for social media. I don't think lawyers need that. I think you being a lawyer is enough. It's enough credibility. It's, your iPhone is just as good as having a whole camera crew. The fact that I can spend 30 seconds making a video that will get millions of views, exactly the same amount of views as someone with a camera crew who spent 40,000 making that video is mind blowing to me. It's not
I
something
mean, to be fair though, like I talk about that from the Hawaiian shirt standpoint all the time. Like I don't think if I was a lawyer, I could wear Hawaiian shirts around lawyers, but like we like already have that in with each other or with normal non-lawyer people.
Right. So being a lawyer itself gives you enough credibility. I didn't really, I mean, I've made over COVID at least, I was making videos literally in sweats, like on walks. I was taking walks like with a glass of wine, making videos. That is like, those were like my first few months of making videos, which I cut out because I realized they were quite deranged. But once I got enough
Once
traffic.
they worked, once they were successful.
It worked. I decided I'm just going to scale back on the drinking and talking and just talk. But, you just kind of have to. And maybe that's why, like, I feel good now because I'm not as bad as like I was when I first started. This is way less embarrassing than like what was going on before. So maybe it's once you embarrass yourself like to a certain level, it's only like up from there. I don't know. But I think
Hey,
at the end of the day, no one really cares. You kind of have to get over things and, success should be important enough to you that you're willing to put yourself out there.
I love it. All right, so I want to come back to wrap up our last 5 minutes, but I want to talk next week, kind of go in a different direction. We've got Seth Price on. Seth runs a gigantic law firm, Price Benowitz, also has Blue Shark Digital, where they do SEO for lawyers. What I really want to talk to Seth about, though, is Seth travels a ton and goes to all these conferences, but like he'll bring his kids. I saw him at Chicago last week, and he like left to go on a boat trip with some other people while he was here for the conference. Like, does a really good job, like getting out into the country and public and conferences while having a life. So I want to hear more of his wisdom next week. That being said, Anna, I don't want to let you go without like some sort of what are we missing in this conversation? I mean, I think like be yourself and just freaking post it are probably like our two big.
I would say reduce your friction. Like just make it easy. If you don't want to get the camera crew, if you don't want to travel, if you don't want to spend the money, that doesn't mean you can't make content. Like it shouldn't be your whole life. And you shouldn't be scared to post anything. Like if you're at the point where too many people are seeing that like it's causing you problems, it's probably also benefiting you equally. So, don't worry about that.
I dig it. So assuming there's anybody who watches this for me and isn't watching this for you and has doesn't follow you yet, like what's the best way for them to get in touch, see this in action, watch some of these videos, like see you walking the walk we've been talking about for the last hour?
Oh my gosh, I'm really easy to find. Probably like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. It's just my name, Anna Juneja. And I'm pretty good about answering DMs and all of that as well.
There we go. But no anti-moon DMs, people, please.
Oh,
Let's limit the hate.
that was crossing the line for me. So I've blocked a few people for that.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to everybody who watched and listened. We'll see you back here next week for Seth's episode. In the meantime, seriously, like go follow Anna, check out some of this stuff. It's amazing to me, you being you and doing such a great job. Like, and not that I say that as a compliment to you. Like I feel like I don't have nearly the reach that you have in a way where I'm trying to be me, but like you're doing a ton of stuff right.
No, that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See you later and see everybody next week.
See you. Bye.